Do families take summer vacations anymore? I remember when I was a kid, we used to go on summer vacations, family of four, mom, dad, me, and my little brother. And mom always liked to have a two-door car. It was rather pain in the derriere for the kids in the back seat because every time mom and dad wanted something, one of us had to go into the stores, generally me, had to go in to get it. That meant I had to crawl over top of the front seat there to get out the door. I was always a pretty scrawny kid, though, so it wasn't near as bad as if I'd been a heavy child. But we'd go on vacations every summer for about 10 days, a week to 10 days. My mother had an aunt that lived down in Florida, and we'd drive down to Florida from Ohio. And there for the first couple years that we did it, there wasn't no air conditioning in the car. And mom had to make a change on that because going to Florida in the summertime in a car, you had to have some air conditioner or you'd about die. But we'd go down to Florida and see some sights along the way getting down there. I loved to sleep in the car. Something about the movement of the car would just knock me out. I'd get some of my best sleep when they was driving. And it would infuriate my mother to no end because she said, listen, I'm getting you out, taking you places so that you can see things, so that you can learn things. And here you are sleeping the whole time. And Dad'd say, leave her alone. She wants to sleep, leave her sleep. It was one less battle that they'd have to be putting out between me and my brother in the back seat. But she didn't see it that way. But we'd go down to Florida and we'd go to Disney World. And it was always a battle between my mother and her aunt because my aunt would want us or her aunt would want us to be down there all the doggone time at their house. And they lived down in Pompano Beach. And mom didn't want to be down there all the time. She wanted to see other things. And so she'd make up white lies about we wasn't going to be there for like 2 days later than we was actually down there. And that way we'd be able to go to Disney World and see some things without being aggravated by her aunt down there. But we'd spend some time on the beach. And oh, I remember some of the wildest things that went on during those vacations down there. We we staying in a Four Seasons hotel, and I don't know, it was up like the 12th floor or something. In this motel room or hotel room, whatever you want to call it, there it had a kitchenette in it. And mom decided she's going to Florida. She's going to get her some fresh fish. That's all there was to it. And she had a devil of a time finding any place where you could get fresh fish down there. And she finally found a store where she could get some fresh fish. And she got her a frying pan and stuff to bring up there to the room. And she's cooking them fish. Well, what she didn't know was that the ventilation for the stove in this little kitchenette went into the elevator shaft of this Four Seasons hotel, which was, I mean, it was a pretty nice hotel as hotels go. And so she cooks this fish up. We had fish for dinner. Didn't think nothing of it. And after dinner, mom and dad decided, well, he's going to go down to the beach for a little while. The sun had gone down. He wasn't going to get burnt to a crisp out on the beach. So let's go down to the beach. Okay, so we get our swimsuits on and stuff, and we head to the elevator, and we get in that elevator, and Lord have mercy, that fish had stunk that elevator up something fierce. And people in the elevator going, Lord, what is that smell? It smells like fish in this elevator. And mom gave me and my brother a look like, if you guys open your mouths, I'll kill you. And We didn't say nothing. We got out of that elevator and got to the beach. I like fell over laughing, and Dad was snickering too. and, and she was embarrassed beyond belief. She said, "Don't you, any of you, dare say nothing about me cooking that fish up there in that hotel room, smelling that elevator up the way it was." But oh, that was funny. And oh gosh, what's some of the other things? Well, I know we was down there on the beach, and I'd met a fella from Canada, was about my age, maybe a year or two older, and we decided we was going to walk down the beach. And being young people, we was pretty spry, so we took a nice long walk down the beach. And finally I said, well, we better turn around and go back. And we turned around to go back. We got about halfway back, and I didn't realize we'd walked as far as we had. We had walked about 2 miles, and we got about halfway back, and there was my mother coming back up the beach looking for me. Oh, she was mad. Lord have mercy, she was mad. And I said, well, we just took a walk, come back. She says, yeah, walking around with some stranger that you don't know. And oh, she was livid. Me and him became pen pals. We wrote to each other for several years back and forth. I don't know whatever become of him. And oh, let's see. Another time we was going down to Florida, and Mom decided she was going to take a little detour on this trip. She wanted to go to Cape Hatteras, and was going to ride on a ferry boat across to some island out there off the coast, and then we'd get on another ferry boat and come back to the mainland, and then we'd go on down to Florida. So it would be a good educational experience for the kids. So we get down there to Cape Hatteras, and we saw the sand dunes and all that, played around out there for a while. And then we get on down there to where you catch the ferry boat, and the last ferry boat had just left for the day. And she talked to the feller there at the station, and he said that, well, the next one would be the next morning. I think it was like 8 o'clock or something. Well, we didn't have a hotel room nor nothing. So Mom and Dad, in their infinite wisdom, decided that we just sleep in the car overnight and catch the ferry the next day over to the island. So we spent the night in the car, and it had air conditioning at this point. That was the only thing that saved us. So running the air conditioning, because I'll tell you what, doggone mosquitoes out there were like buzzards. These things was like 2-3 inches long, and then they had the big old needle nose on them to bite you with, and would eat you alive. We were ate up with mosquito bites by the time we left there. But that's not the best part of this one. The next morning, when they got ready to open up the ferry thing there to ferry you over to the island, she finds out that once you get over on the island, there was like a 3-day wait to get on the ferry to get back to the mainland. And we couldn't do that because, we just had so much time on this vacation. So we had to turn around, and I mean, basically none of us had really had any sleep all night long, and turn around and go back up the Cape and then go down through Georgia to Florida. And Mom and Dad both dead on their feet. I had to stay awake to keep them awake driving so we didn't get no wreck. And we finally get down to Florida and got to the hotel. They'd called ahead enough to get us a room so that we'd have a place to stay. And oh, I was just ate up with mosquito bites. That was a miserable, miserable trip. Got in the swimming pool at the hotel, and I was so ate up with mosquito bites, chlorine in the water like to burnt me alive. I never wanted to go back to Cape Hatteras again, I'll tell you that much. Man, oh man. But that's what we used to do every year, is go down to Florida, and I'd pick up seashells on the beach, and always brought me back a sack of shells to play with and make some jewelry out of and stuff. But I always remember those vacations, and I don't know if people do that anymore or not. At the time, some of that was awful hateful, riding in the cars for hours and hours on end and getting burned up, and families fussing and feuding for a whole week, all stuck in a car together. But it is a memory, I'll tell you what. But after that, after I got out from home, I had a couple vacations since I was a kid. Um, I had one where I went off to Texas helping a friend deliver a vehicle, and ended up going to Las Vegas and then up to Colorado and then back home. And then a few years after that, I ended up going out to California. That was a plane trip, though, and flew out to Los Angeles, California. Stayed there at the Disneyland Hotel. Went to Disneyland and drove down to San Diego. Seen the Queen Mary ship out there. And while I was there in California, I went to the studios where they make the movies, and I got some good pictures of some things out there. I got a nice picture of the house that they filmed the movie Psycho in, and it was right at sundown, so the house silhouetted against the sunset. That's really a cool picture. I've got a picture album around here someplace. Got to see where they had the stars on the Walk of Fame there at the Chinese Theater, and a few things out there. And had some nice meals and some hotels and stuff out there in California. But I've not really had any family type vacations since I was a kid, and those will always be with me. Anytime somebody says something about Cape Hatteras, I always remember them buzzard-sized mosquitoes that they have out there. And somebody said something about Florida. I remember being out there on that beach in the hot sand and the salty water,